and it is time to get started. Hey, welcome to At The Track Live. I am Coach James. I am the creator and lead instructor for All About Aerodynamics. What is All About Aerodynamics? Glad you asked, even if you didn't ask. All About Aerodynamics is a science program where I use Hot Wheels cars to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about a range of science and physics-related topics, including, but not limited to, aerodynamics, drag, lift, downforce, kinetic energy, potential energy, Isaac Newton and his 3 laws of motion, elastic energy, elastic force, a whole range of topics. And after we have learned the topics and gone over them, and we've conducted experiments to drive all the concepts home, then and only then do I bring in about 400 different Hot Wheels cars. And each student gets the opportunity to select a Hot Wheels car they think would be fastest in a series of races based on everything they've learned in the class. Then they take their car, they examine their car, they take a picture of their car, they shoot a little video of their car, they weigh their car, they test the speed of their car, they document the year the car was manufactured. All that information goes into a spreadsheet. Then they set up a 1/64 scale quarter-mile drag strip, and we have a tournament. We race the cars, and they observe how their cars perform. Did their car perform up to or below their expectations? And if they had the opportunity, would they select that car again, or would they make a different selection based on their observations? So we have fun with Hot Wheels cars. We learn about science. What could be better? If you would like more information about All About Aerodynamics and how to bring our program to your school or your organization or your special event, all you have to do is go to our website, aaAerodynamics.com, or you can follow us on Instagram, aaAerodynamics, and all the information you will need to contact me to get more information is in the bio. But this is not all about aerodynamics. This is All About Aerodynamics presents At The Track Live. So what is At The Track Live? Well, before I can take all of those cars into a school for students to use, I have to make sure I know exactly which cars I'm bringing in so I can distribute the cars, and then I can collect the cars, put them back in the right place, and have them available for the next group of students. But before I can do that, I have to document information about the car myself. I have to take a picture of the car, shoot a little video. I have to enter the name of the car into the spreadsheet. I have to assign it a number. All of that. And before I had to track live, I would do that by just getting a bunch of Hot Wheels cars out of storage, cracking them open, entering the information into the spreadsheet, taking the pictures, all that. It was boring. So I decided to create At The Track Live. So every week, I'll go into storage. I'll pull out about 6 or so Hot Wheels cars out of storage, crack those open. We'll take a look at those, do a little review. I'll get my picture, I'll get my video, enter the information into the spreadsheet, and then after I've cataloged all the information about the car, then the track is already set up. So we have a little mini tournament and race the cars and see which car is going to be the winner of our weekly At The Track Live tournament. But wait, there's more. The reason why it's At The Track Live is because you have the opportunity to participate. If you go to AtTheTrack.live, you will have 3 options. One is the YouTube stream link, one is the Twitch stream link, but the third link, the third option, is choose a car. And if you select that choose your car option, it will take you to this page. And on this page, you will see all of the cars currently in the All About Aerodynamics At The Track Live fleet, which I believe we are up to 800 and 800 and how many? I have a spreadsheet that I keep, which I am going to need to find that spreadsheet window. But trust me, there are 800 plus cars. I'm looking for my spreadsheet because I will need that. This is what happens. I updated my computer just before we got started, and I know better than to do that because it throws off all of the windows and things that I had open. Is that it? That is not it. I will find that. But trust me, if you scroll through, and I will need to find that spreadsheet, but if you scroll through, you will see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Hot Wheels cars. There are cars from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, all the way up the 2000s, and some cars that we have introduced recently just came out in the last month or so and are just hitting the shelves. But there are fantasy cars, there are cars based on real cars, there are character cars, there are trucks, there are these animal type cars. We have the Motosaurus. We got a little dinosaur action here. If dinosaurs are your thing, boom. You've got the Motosaurus you can choose from. There's the Road Cannibal, some kind of big cat type thing. So if that's the car, let's see. We've got cars like the Cloak and Dagger, which I'm not sure exactly what this is supposed to be, but there it is, and it is available for you to choose from. But why are you choosing a car? You're choosing a car because if you think that you can find a car in this group that is faster than one of the cars that I am introducing, then all you have to do is take the number of that car, drop it in the chat, and I will pull that car, and then we will enter your car into the tournament, and we will see if you can defeat the other cars that are introduced. So if you think, for some reason, this 49 Volkswagen Beetle pickup is the car, then you're more than welcome to select it. Me personally, I wouldn't pick it, but that's just me. Maybe you have some other insight or idea, and this is the car. So if this is the car you think is the one, you just have to take that number, in this case 398, drop it into the chat, and I will pull that car, and it will be entered into the tournament. So that is just one of the cars. There are also these, there's a few of these. I'm pretty sure this is one of the Hot Wheels, one of the ID cars from the ID series line. And they had a little chip on the bottom, and it interacted with this special ID, Hot Wheels ID track. And the cars were more expensive. They were premium cars. They had more detail and seemed to use some better quality material, not as much plastic. But they only interacted with the Hot Wheels ID track components, and those got expensive. So I'm pretty sure it's been discontinued because I haven't seen a Hot Wheels ID car in a long time, and haven't seen any kind of promotion for the track and the parts. So it's just one of those things, and it is, but we have some of the cars, and they're not too much heavier than the standard Hot Wheels car, but they are, because they have more metal, they do tend to lean a little more towards the heavier side, but not always. So now, even though this is about as close to a premium car as we're going to get, because we don't usually, don't use any of the like the Super Treasure Hunt cars. Well, one, I don't have any of those, but some of the more premium line cars, they have the Real Rider tires, which are rubber. And the rubber tires on our plastic track, there's too much friction, and the cars just do not move down the track with any kind of speed to compete with the cars that have just the regular plastic Hot Wheels wheels. So there are no premium character cars in this group, but there are plenty of cars that you can choose from. And like I said, it's the mix between, there's fantasy cars, real cars. Just even if I just stop right here, we've got this 86 Monte Carlo. We've got a custom Cadillac Fleetwood and a 52 Chevy. All real cars, a 52 Hudson Hornet, a 73 Ford Falcon, this custom Acura Integra GSR, 55 Chevy Bel Air Gasser. All of those cars are right there. But then you scroll down a little bit and you've got a Velociracer, and a Roller Toaster. If you think the Roller Toaster is the car, if you think for some reason those two slices of bread sticking out of the top are going to mean the difference, make a difference for this car and get it down the track faster than some of the others, then you're welcome to make that selection. All you have to do is take the number of the car and drop that into the chat. I will pull that car and we will take it to the track. Hey, Roughshod called his shot last week, picked his car, and he is going with the Captain Marvel car, which is a character car. And today we're going to weigh the car because it felt a little heavy when we tested it out on Wind Tunnel Wednesday, which we'll talk about. But I did check the car, Roughshod, after that because I was concerned that it's so wide that it wouldn't fit into the launcher. But it turns out it's just wide enough. If it were any wider, it wouldn't fit, but it just fits in, so it'll be good to go and race. But if anyone else wants to pick a car, you've got time because I am going to start introducing the cars for today's races, and you will have a chance to enter into that tournament. But make your selection. Just go to AtTheTrack.live, select the choose a car option, and you will be taken to this page. I am going to have to I'm going to have to find that. Where is that spreadsheet? It is, that is, well, I can bring up a new window, but the whole point is I have to enter the information into the spreadsheet. Otherwise, I am not doing myself any favors, and I'm missing the entire point of At the Track Live. But I will get that straightened out, and we will have some races. If you happen to pick a car that is faster than all the others and wins today's tournament, then you will be rewarded. Rewarded might not be the right term, but you will have the opportunity to go up against our fastest in fleet car. And our fastest in fleet car is the car that has beaten all the others. And week after week, week in, week out, it has just proven itself to be the fastest Hot Wheels car on the planet. And that car is this one. It is the Gazella. Let me get some light on the champ. And get the overhead lights. Get the fill lights. All this. Gotta do it right. So this is the Gazella R. The Gazella R has been our fastest in fleet champion, the fastest car in the All About Aerodynamics At the Track Live fleet for a good 15 or so weeks, and it is approaching the 17-week mark. Now, why is that important? That is important because our previous fastest in fleet car, the Blitz Speeder, was the champion for 17 weeks. And then along came the Gazella R and took its title and has not really looked back. The Gazella R has been extremely, extremely dominant, and it's had a few close races, very few. So few that I could probably just count them on one hand. I think it's had maybe 3 close races. Our races, when we get out to the track, are best 2 out of 3, and the Gazella R has lost a total of 2 races, but it came back and won 2 out of 3, so it's still our champion. And it was only the Slide Kick took a race from the Gazella, and the Whipped Creamer 2 took a race from the Gazella. Other than that, the the Gazella has beaten down every single car that has that it's gone up against. And like I said, most of the races have not been close, with cars being beaten by multiple car lengths. And all right, I got the spreadsheet all lined up. I will tell you exactly how many cars we have. We have, in the All About Aerodynamics at the Track Live fleet, there are 824 cars. So on that page, there are 824 cars. 823 if you subtract the Gazella. 823 different cars for you to choose from. It's possible that you can choose a car that is faster than the Gazella. I would say that the odds are that out of 823 cars, there may be one faster than the Gazella. If you'd asked me this a month ago, I would have said, or 2 months ago, I would have said, there's definitely a car in there faster than the Gazella. As we've gone on, as the Gazella has streaked down the track week after week, I'm not as confident with that. I would say there may be a car among those 823 that are faster than the Gazella, and perhaps it is the Captain Marvel car that Roughshod picked. Perhaps it is the car that you are going to pick. I don't know. And maybe, just maybe, it's one of the cars that I'm going to introduce today. There is a car that I'm introducing that I think may have a shot. It may have a shot. So that's all I'm saying. But as for the Gazella, it is at 15 weeks. In 2 weeks, obviously, it will be at 17 weeks, and it will tie the Blitz Speeder for the longest reign as our fastest in fleet champion. And when that happens, what we are going to do is we are going to bring the Blitz Speeder back. Bring it back. And we are going to have a showdown, a rematch, a championship rematch. And see if the Blitz Speeder can take its title back, or if the Gazella is going to continue on beyond the 17-week mark into week 18. So we are only 2 weeks away from that showdown, and we've kind of been keeping an eye on it for at least since the end of last year. And usually I don't have as good old JR would say, I don't have a dog in this fight. But what the thing is, now that the Gazella has gotten this close, I want to see that rematch. I want the Gazella to make it to 17 weeks. I want it to make it through this week. I want it to make it through next week, and then I want to see it against the Blitz Speeder. So even though I'm introducing cars that I think, especially there's one that I think could give the Blitz Speeder a serious challenge. Even though I'm doing that, I'm actively trying to defeat the Blitz Speeder. I really want the I really want the Gazella to win. And because I want to see that showdown. I want it to be, we've been waiting, and for it to be snatched away at the last, within the last 2 weeks. That might be what happens. That just might be what happens, because once the cars hit the track, you never really know. So I am looking forward to that, but also looking forward to today's races and the new cars that are going to be introduced. And again, if there are any cars that you want to, if there's a car that you want to see raced, just go to AtTheTrack.live, select the choose a car option, and then you will be taken to the page where you can make your selection. And let's see here. Light is bright. Okay, so here's what we also have. Every time I've mentioned this before, anytime I go to a store, I go down the toy aisle to check out the Hot Wheels, see if there's anything new, anything that catches my eye, anything that I would like, anything I think the students would like, and if I see it, I pick it up. And that's, since I'm only interested really in the mainline cars, the basic Hot Wheels cars that only cost $1.25 more or less, it's not a big deal. I'm not really into typically other larger scale cars and things like that, because I want to race the cars, and you can't really do that with the larger models. However, I did show about a couple of weeks ago, that I picked up two. These are Jada. These are 1/24 scale models, and I picked up this this Woody. It's the VW bus, and picked up this Fast and Furious Lamborghini. And I got these just because when I'm doing the lessons with the students, and we're talking about aerodynamics and how the air can impact the car, and about drag, and about different concepts. This is pretty easy for them to recognize why why this would probably be slower in a race versus this car. And then they give their ideas, and so it's easier with larger models to kind of have those discussions than it is with the Hot Wheels cars. But so these are the 1/24 scale models, and Hot Wheels, of course, are 1/64 scale. And I am developing an online lesson just based around scale. So it gave me an excuse and a reason to buy some other cars. But again, usually I don't buy the larger cars. But the other day I was in Costco, and I think just like with Hot Wheels, sometimes you go in the store, right time, right place, and they've just stocked the shelves, so you get to see and select all of from the new Hot Wheels that are on the shelf before all the other collectors and people come in and kind of go through it. And this happened the other day when I went to Costco. They had just put out a display of these 1/18 scale cars. And usually, again, I'm not into those larger cars so much, but as I was kind of stopping and looking at the palette, and really the way I got there is because they have people in the aisle who are trying to sell you cell phone subscriptions or cable and satellite connections or whatever. So I was trying to avoid them, and in trying to avoid them, I ran into this big palette of this display of these 1/18 scale cars. So I started looking through and saw a few that were pretty nice, and I liked the detail. But the big thing was they were only $16. And I checked on Amazon to see if that was a deal, and some of these cars were going for, on Amazon, were going for $40, $35. So I was getting a deal, plus they were pretty cool. So this was the first one that I picked up. This Ferrari FXXK Evo. And it's got a lot of great details. Doors come up. It turns out that the steering wheel actually turns the tires. So you can kind of see there that they've got that going for it. The paint job, which I don't know if it comes through on the video, but it's metallic blue. The back opens up with the engine compartment there. This front hood area opens up with a little, I guess that would be the equivalent of the trunk space. But it's even got little, I don't know if it comes through, little carbon fiber patterns on some of the mirrors and in the back. So this is just a cool looking car. And I remember seeing this car at the Peterson Automotive Museum here in LA a couple of years ago, and I went and looked back through my pictures, and sure enough, I have a picture of the real one. And since the real one cost $3.5 million and this one was $16, I am now the owner of a $16 Ferrari. So this was one that I got. But then, for the purposes of the scale discussion, that one I got because it was just a cool car and I liked the details. This one I got, this Bugatti Divo, because I have the Hot Wheels version, and I'll be using that to show students the difference between the scale sizes, 1/64, 1/18, and if probably the only place I'm going to see a real Bugatti is going back to the Peterson Museum and seeing if they have one on display. I think I had, at the time I went, I had a picture of the Bugatti, the Chiron. But anyway, this is another one. It's not quite as detailed, but since I have the Hot Wheels version, this is I mean, it's detailed. It's just that Ferrari was just something else. But again, $16. So these are pretty big. Again, 1/18 scale versus this one's 1/24. So you can kind of see the difference in the scale. And then the last one that I picked up was this Lamborghini V12 Vision Gran Turismo. And this is actually a car that Lamborghini designed specifically for the Gran Turismo video game. And they actually, so it's not a production car, but they did make a real one. So there is one real version of this, and if you go on YouTube, you can see it. It's like a dark green color. But they did make one, and the little driver's compartment opens up there. The back end, the engine. And so this, if it wasn't for the fact that it's an actual Lamborghini and that Lamborghini made one, this could easily be one of the Hot Wheels fantasy cars. And it's got crazy lines, all kinds of openings, wings, and odd places, and all designed, again, to control the airflow and to test out some ideas. I watched a thing on YouTube with the person who was the lead designer on the team that created this car, and they were testing out some ideas and just doing some things they otherwise wouldn't do because they were only making one of these. And this is the car, and they said that they designed the back. So in the real car, the tail lights are essentially right here on this sort of V shape of the wing, and then also on this area here. And they said they designed the back of the car specifically for the video game, because in the video game you usually have a view that's sort of like this. It's from the back and top down. So this was the Lamborghini V12 Vision Gran Turismo, and it's funny because I don't usually buy these cars, but they were there and they looked cool, and I could use them to teach lessons about scale and what have you. But just like with Hot Wheels cars, because I was looking at the Ferrari and I was gonna buy the Ferrari, and then I saw the Bugatti, and then I was thinking, well, maybe should I get it, maybe not. And they had some other Lamborghinis, and they had this one, and I started thinking, well, do I really need to buy both of them? And I didn't need to, but I was thinking, well, maybe I'll just get the Ferrari, sleep on it, come back later and pick it up. But then I started thinking about like Hot Wheels and any other kind of whether you collect Star Wars or any other kind of toy collecting, or maybe whatever else you collect. When you see it, if you can, buy it, and then, because you can always return it. But what happened is I bought these and then left, and then the next day I had to go back to Costco for something I had forgotten to get. So I went yesterday and went to that same area, and clearly there are collectors. There are 1/18 scale collectors, just like there are collectors for Hot Wheels. And the palette was all in the display. You could tell someone had gone all the way through it. There were no more Lamborghinis. There were no more Ferraris. And there was and no more Bugattis. And that was it. There were some other just kind of random cars, some Porsches and some other things. But these cars, nah, they were gone. And the day that I went, I went on Thursday, and on Thursday, when the pallet was out, there were plenty of these and the other ones. But hey, you snooze, you lose. But for everything that's out there in the store, there's a collector for it, and so I'm glad I got my hands on these. But we are not here. Oh, but here is something, and it all kind of flows in. So we've started Wind Tunnel Wednesday, in which we take cars and put them in the Winzable 1/64 scale wind tunnel, and it works a little bit like AtTheTrack.live. You can go to the Choose a Car page, find a car that you want to see in the wind tunnel. I'll pull it out. We'll throw it in there and see how the air flows over, under, and around the cars. And that's every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific. Testing some things out. I think this past week I found a format that kind of works. So we're doing it on Instagram Live and on YouTube. The only difference is that on Instagram, because we have to stick to that vertical format. If you watch on YouTube, you'll see everything right in the middle of the screen, but on the left and the right, there's some other information. If you're watching on Instagram, then you only see the information in the center. So I'm just kind of testing some things out. But every Wednesday at 4 p.m., Instagram Live and YouTube. I can't do it on TikTok because I don't have enough followers. I think you have to have 1,000 or so followers. There's some number you have to hit before you have the option to go live, so be it. But anyway, the Winzable 1/64 scale wind tunnel it's just over a foot long, maybe a foot and a half long, and the Hot Wheels cars go inside, and we may throw a car in there today. But I went and checked, and the company that makes the Winsible, the 1/64 scale wind tunnel, is also supposed they're working on a 1/18 scale wind tunnel and a 1/60 and a 1/24 scale wind tunnel. It's not available for purchase yet, but I checked the price. The price is steep. The price is about just under $400. I think it's $380 something, which is a lot. And I don't have. I mean, if I had more of these cars at this scale, then perhaps I would be interested in that. But that is a lot of money to spend on the wind tunnel, even though with the additional detail of these cars, like this one, you've got the canards here to direct the airflow. I would be very interested to see how the air flowed over, under, and around this car. But since I only have 3 of these, spending $400 to see that, I don't know if that's going to happen. So, but it's just an option. If you are a collector of 1/24 scale, 1/18 scale cars, then there's a Winsible option. Just check. I suppose you can search Winsible, or the company is Funtech Labs. So either way, if that's your thing and you have $400 just burning a hole in your pocket waiting to be spent, then I would suggest that you check them out. But we are here to race Hot Wheels cars. And so I went into storage and pulled out some cars. And one thing I ran into was that I have a lot of duplicates. And I was going through, I pulled cars for today, but ended up with a big pile of just duplicate cars. And I don't want to have duplicate cars in the fleet unless there's some actual significant difference between the car we already have in the fleet and the one we're introducing. So that is out. But I did pull the first one, and this is the one that I think is going to be able to challenge the Gazella, and it is this one, the Rollin Solo. And I am going to double check to make sure I don't have one in the fleet already. I did that last night, but I was looking at the spreadsheet on my phone and may have missed it. No, we just have the roller toaster, so we are good to go with this one. This is the Rollin Solo, so we're going to crack this one open and take a look at it. Okay, it's got some information on the back. Now, number one, it's in this Hot Wheels Track Champs series. I don't know if that's just marketing or if there's something different they do to the cars, some different components. Do they use the nickel-plated axles? I don't know. Or is it just a marketing thing to sell toys, which is not uncommon. But on the back, it says, born in 2020 in El Segundo, California. In the not-so-distant future, this autonomous robo-racer roams the midnight road in search of a worthy challenger that can beat its top speed of 388 miles per hour. Okay. All right, so there's the backstory. I'm going to crack this open, and we're going to take a look at the Rollin Solo. All right, let's check the weight. And the Rollin Solo is 28.3 grams. So it's below that 30-gram threshold. And when you start getting into the 20s, we know that there is a point at which cars are too light and have a tough time. But we'll see how that relates to this car. And let's go ahead and take a look at it. And here it is, the Rollin Solo. And I might as well, as it comes around, I'll shoot this video first. And it's interesting because of the flat, how it flattens out at the back. It doesn't have a traditional wing, but it just kind of flattens out all the way at the back. And I don't know how that's going to impact the car overall, but like the Blitz Speeder, like the Gazella, like the Whipped Creamer 2, like to an extent like the Slide Kick, this car doesn't have a lot on the top side to really break up, to create additional drag. And so the airflow should be pretty good across the top of this car. And it's light. It seems a little wider, because sometimes the cars that are very light are narrow, and narrow cars just don't do well on the track. If they don't get a perfect launch, they'll bounce around. This one seems like it may be the car. This may be the one that upsets the championship rematch plans. But we'll find that out. And let me get the see, I didn't need to do that. I could have done it that way. Let's get the still picture so that it can be added in. And there we go. It's all lined up. And we have the Rollin Solo. Oh, let me give it a little bit of backfill light. There we go. The Rollin Solo is now a part of the fleet, but this area here, this is going to be very interesting as the air just flows up across this area. Now what happens when it flows through here back to the wheel, I don't know, but I like this car's chances. You got the diffuser there in the back, and we will see if the Rollin Solo at 28.5 grams roughly is going to be able to take out the Gazella. But before it takes out the Gazella, it's got to take out a whole other group of cars. Just checking the manufacturing year, 2022. And putting that in here. And now the Rollin Solo is a part of the fleet. Okay, next up, I pulled this one. I'm pretty sure there's already one in the fleet, and if there is, that's a shame, because the one I pulled out was this one, the Pagani Zonda R, and I am going to check to see if we already have one. We just did a Pagani Huayra Roadster, but do we have a Pagani Zonda R? Yes, we do. Car number 644. So let me see. This one, the wheels are slightly different, but they're not. They're just differently colored. And usually, if I put a duplicate car in, it's because the wheels are actually different, a different type of wheel. So let's see, 644. Oh yeah, okay. I guess they're all pretty nice. So this is kind of a burgundy. It looks like it's got a metal, like metal flake paint. This one's still pretty cool. I like it. But since we already have one, there is not a significant enough difference. Then this Pagani, this white one, is going to end up as a prize car, which is the group of cars that students who participate in the class, have good citizenship, answer questions, things like that, will have an opportunity to choose from. Okay. On Wind Tunnel Wednesday, I introduced this next car because I like it. I mentioned that Peterson Automotive Museum. I saw this back in 2022, a version of it, and just thought it was cool. And they finally have released it in the United States. It is the Volkswagen. It is the ID Buzz. And the reason why this is open is because I opened it on Wind Tunnel Wednesday and we stuck it in the wind tunnel. It was not extremely aerodynamic. And I don't expect it to do well on the track, but it's open. I like it, and it is going into the fleet. And you can have probably seen these. Maybe we'll start to see them around. The downside, at least as far as my bank account is concerned, is that these start at about $70,000, which is a lot. So Hot Wheels came through again, so I've got the $1.25 version, and it is going into the fleet. I don't expect it to be fast, but it's going in nevertheless. Let's see how much it weighs. The weight is 41.3 grams, so it's well outside of the range of cars that do well. That range is about 32 to 36 grams is where ideally you want a car to be if it is going to have an opportunity to compete and do well on the track. But the ID Buzz is cool, is going in, and let me just turn it a little bit. There. And there we have it. We got the still picture. Let me just grab a quick video of this van, this thing that I expect that no student will pick this. And I say that because when I'm teaching them, after I've taught them about aerodynamics and drag and all of those things and what to look for, this car doesn't fit any of those criteria. So if they pick this, I've got to question my teaching and my instruction, because they really shouldn't, given the options that they would have available. So this may be the only time that the Volkswagen ID Buzz ever hits the track, because I don't expect it to be picked, and I don't expect any viewers to pick it, but it's going to race today. And I liked it, again, with the details. They have the Volkswagen badge in the back, the name on the license plate, and this is pretty accurate to the versions I've seen. I've seen one where the yellow is orange and another where it's green. I think there's a blue version and then yellow. I don't know if there are any others beyond that, but that is the Volkswagen ID Buzz, and it is the second entrant into the fleet today. So we've got the Rollin Solo, the Volkswagen ID Buzz. The Rollin Solo I do expect to be competitive with the Gazella and some of the other cars that we introduced. The ID Buzz, not really so much. So we are at not 2002, 2022 for the ID Buzz. All right, we are now looking at car number 827. We are getting back to cars that have an opportunity to actually be competitive and win. So I pulled this one out. The Lamborghini Sian FKP 37. I know we have a ton of Lamborghinis, So I am going to need to double check to make sure that the Sian, there's a little accent mark over the A, but I don't speak Italian. So, let's see. Do we have one? The Lamborghini. There are a bunch of Lamborghinis. We do have a Sian, car number 547, but it is not the Sian FKP 37. So I guess let's take a look at it, car 547, and see whether or not it is identical or not. Car number 547. I think when this page gets to 1,000, I will set up a second page. 547. Here we go. Lamborghini Sian. Let's see. Do I notice any differences? One's green. Not really. The wheels are a little, the wheels on this one are different. I think it's going in because one, it's cool. Kids love picking Lamborghinis, and it is, we have a Lamborghini Sian, but we don't have the FKP 37. I don't know what that means, but if it was on that car, I would have typed it into the spreadsheet, but it wasn't. So I don't know what the difference is, but I'm going to go ahead and say there's a difference, if only in the name. So this one's going in, and it is the Lamborghini Sian FKP 37. Hey, Never Ending, how you doing? Nope, you are right on time. You still have the chance to pick a car because we have only introduced, so far, we've introduced two. The Lamborghini Sian FKP 37 is about to be car number 3 on the day, and then Roughshod has made a pick. So yeah, you have plenty of time. Check the page, or maybe you know which one you want, but just let me know the number, and I'll pick it up in a little bit. So let's crack this Lamborghini open. And, there's some information on the back. The Lamborghini Sian FKP 37, born in 2019 in Sant'Agata, Bolognese, Italy. The Lamborghini Sian FKP 37 is truly a one-of-a-kind. The first hybrid supercar with a V12 engine, this carbon fiber beauty can exceed 220 miles per hour. The combination of power, speed, and exquisite design will leave you electrified. So, okay. So it's a hybrid. And let's see what it weighs. This Lambo weighs in at 27.3 grams. So it's actually lighter than the Rollin Solo, which was already pretty light. So this is the car. Let's go here and take a look at this one as it comes around. I will grab the video, and then we will add it to the group. The group of Lamborghinis. There are currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 Lamborghinis, and there's about to be one more. So car number 827 is the Lamborghini Sian FKP 37, the lightest car that we have looked at today. It's got It's got the red tail lights. It's got the license plate, the metallic green, sort of olive green, metallic olive green with the gold wheels. I like that. It's a good look. And we're going to find out whether or not this car has what it takes. So I think between the Rollin Solo and this car, we say it all the time. Well, one of these may challenge the Gazella. They both can't challenge because the Gazella only takes on the winners. And eventually one of these cars is going to get knocked out. But then we have the issue of the cars that have been introduced by viewers, and we already know one of those cars, which is the Captain Marvel car that Roughshod has selected. And I'm going to get this picture. Boom. All right, we've got the Sian FKP 37, and we also have a pick from. Ooh, this car is very light. I mean, we know it's light from the weight, but holding it and picking it up, I can tell how light it is. I just saw. Let's go to this page, and then let's bring up. All right, so Never Ending, number 390. Scroll down and did a rant. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at car number 390. See which one that is. So coming through. 390. Okay, let's slide back up. Okay, the F Racer. When I glanced up at first, I thought you took the Pixel Shaker, and I was like, that's an odd choice. But no, that was not his pick. His pick was this one. And all right, so the F Racer. This is interesting because there's no wing on the top, and I'm trying to remember. Well, we'll know when I pull the car, because some of these were my son's cars when he was a kid and played with them. So I know that some of the cars that I had when I was a kid, that some of them are in the fleet, they had little pieces like plastic wings, things that didn't survive the playground or wherever I was playing with the cars. So we'll have to look at this car because it's definitely a F1 style inspired car, but it just seems like you would think that there would be a wing on the back, but there is no wing. But maybe that will work in its favor. So I will write that number down, 390. And I will pull that car along with Roughshod's pick, the Captain Marvel car, and then that will round things out before we hit the track. So that means we have one more car that can be introduced today. And since we've got this light car theme, well, we've got a couple of options. I'm going to save that light car, and we are going to go with, because I want to see, since we have the ID Buzz, we have two cars so far that are under 30 grams. And then we have the ID Buzz, which is over 40. So I think that just so the ID Buzz can feel a little better about its loss that it's going to take inevitably, we'll introduce this bus, the Hot Wheels High. And there's no information on the back. I know we have some other buses in there. Well, first let me double check the year on the Lamborghini, 2021. Enter that into the spreadsheet, 2021. And let's double check to make sure that I do not already have the Hot Wheels High bus. because this will take on the Lamborghini. Although I have a feeling this is going to be fast, at least faster than the ID Buzz. We have a high voltage, high-tech missile, a high roller, and a high beam, but no. Oh wait, I'm looking at the wrong Hot Wheels. No, there is no. We have the hot wired and the hot wheeler, but other than that, there is not a Hot Wheels high bus, but there is one now. So let me crack this open and we'll take a look. All right, let's see what this thing weighs in at. It comes in at 38.2. So even though it's a bus, it is still lighter than the ID Buzz, which might make that race is less competitive than I thought. So here we go. There is the Hot Wheels, or the what was it called? Hot Wheels High, and I will keep that light right there and put in a little bit of backlighting so you can get this picture. Actually, I'm going to need to put in the silver backdrop so that there is some contrast. Even though this is much like the ID Buzz, I do not expect any student to pick this bus for a number of reasons. But if they are paying attention to anything that I've said about aerodynamics and shape and all of those things, then they will not pick this car. But you never know. I had one student pick a tank. And when I asked her if she was sure, she said she was sure. And there's a point where the students describe how they made their choice, why they made their choice, and she had some pretty good reasons. And the tank ultimately didn't win, but it was fine because at least the pick that she made, she had thought it through. And while it's not a pick I would have made, that's not the point. The point is, are the students thinking through their choices? And part of the scientific method, they think through their choices, they make their choices, and they observe the outcome, and then determine whether or not they would make that selection again, what worked, what didn't work, and that's all part of the process. So let's see. This is the car number 828. Crazy, 828 cars in the fleet. This is the Hot Wheels High. And it's got these sort of rocket engines in the back that actually stick out. They look like they stick out slightly more than that spoiler on the top, but we'll see. And whether or not how this presses up against the launching block. It would be best for this thing if those rockets and the spoiler coming off the top were the same, were exactly the same distance, so that it would have potentially 2 points of contact: the rockets and then the spoiler off the back. So here we go. We have the Hot Wheels High bus. We have our Rollin Solo. We have the ID Buzz. And we have the Lamborghini Sian FKP 37. Now, I am going to pull the Captain Marvel car and the 390, the F Racer. So I'm going to go, well, let me check the year. This one was manufactured 2013. 2013. Okay. Put that in. All right, we've got that. So I'm going to go pull those other two cars. I do not have any other info. So I'm going to play this bathroom break music. It's going to say 5 minutes. It's not going to take me 5 minutes unless something has gone extremely wrong with my sorting process. But I'm going to go grab those cars, and I will be right back. Okay, so I pulled this F Racer, and I'm looking at it, and no, there was never any wing on the back. Check the weight. The weight is 33.2 grams, so that is a good, solid. That's a good weight for our track. And this is the F Racer. And it's clearly F1 car inspired, but it's definitely a fantasy car. And I think with this one, the only real question for me will be whether or not it can get, what kind of launch can it get, and will it stay straight on the track. And if it starts to bounce around, then we know that doesn't work out well in the end. But if it can stay straight with the weight, it should do well, I'm thinking. It's interesting because it's also all metal, and that's unusual. Most of these cars are plastic bodies on a metal base, or metal body on a plastic base, but this one is all metal. And when you see the back end, again, I thought maybe there would be a wing here, but they decided not to do that. So there's this channel here coming down. How that will impact the airflow, I don't know, but we will see how this car does. The wing in the back, it's kind of split, so we'll have, those will be the two parts of the car that actually touch the launching block. So there we go. We have the F Racer. We have, now let's check out Roughshods pick Captain Marvel. So this is the car that, to me, it felt heavy, but, you know, let's see. Oh, it's heavy. It's coming in at 43 grams. That is heavier than the ID Buzz. We might have to go ID Buzz versus Captain Marvel, because these are two heavyweights. Roughshod said it was going to be a heavyweight tournament. Yeah, he said one of those, I think he was talking about the bus was going to be the heavyweight of the tournament. But it turns out that the heavyweight of the tournament is Captain Marvel. So from a design standpoint, it it's got a good solid design. It's a wider car, which is always better on our track because that's going to prevent it from bouncing around as it goes down. So it should correct itself very quickly and should, in theory, do well. But those extra grams, 43 grams, it's a lot. The other thing I noticed with this car is it has standard Hot Wheels size wheels in the front. But these wheels in the in the back, but the wheels in the front are smaller. They're the same design, but they're smaller. And I don't know how well that comes across here, but you can kind of see that they're smaller. And I don't know that is I don't recall seeing those. Usually when we see, I'm trying to move I know what I'll do. I've got all these lights around here. Boom, right there. Put some extra light on it. And you can kind of see that the wheels are smaller. And usually when we see cars with smaller wheels, there's a different, it's hard to explain, I'd have to show an example, but there's a different style of wheel, and it's significantly smaller. So this is interesting because if you look at the F Racer, it also has two different size wheels, but it's got basically the standard wheel in the front and a larger wheel at the back. So that's the difference there. So we're going to find out. We've got a nice group of cars. We have these two viewer picks. There's the Captain Marvel car coming in heavy at 43 grams. And there is the F Racer, which is coming in very light. And we will see how those stack up against the Rollin Solo, which is the car that I still kind of have expectations that's the car that's going to make it to the finals, but you never know. We have the ID Buzz, which we thought was going to be our heaviest car of the tournament, but nope. We have the Lamborghini Sian FKP 37, which is our 14th Lamborghini entered into the fleet. And we also have the Hot Wheels ID Buzz. So there is a good range of cars and sizes and styles that are going to hit the track. And as I do each week, I am going to let you know that if this is the first time viewing an all about aerodynamics at the Track Live race, here is what you are about to see. You are going to see our 3-camera racetrack view. The cars will start in the top left, in the left screen at the top. And they will start in the launcher. I'll give a countdown, 3, 2, 1, race. I'll hit the switch. The cars will come firing out of the launcher. They will come from top to bottom. They will pass out of the bottom of the screen on the left, and they will show up at the top of the screen in the middle. The center section of our track, the cars will come from top to bottom, passing out of the bottom of the screen in the middle, showing up at the top of the screen on the right, our finish line camera. They will come from top to bottom. They will cross the finish line, and the winning car will be indicated with a solid red light. The losing car will be indicated with a flashing red light. So winning car, solid red light. Losing car, flashing red light. And if a car happens to crash on the track, then no big deal. If the car crashes, leaves the track, then we simply take those cars, throw out the result of that race, reset the cars, run the race again. No problem. However, if a car crashes twice consecutively, then that car is eliminated. Why? Because if a car crashes twice consecutively in exactly the same way, then there's some problem with the combination of the car and the launch that it's getting. that is not going to be resolved by just restarting the race. So that is something that will get a car disqualified, crashing twice consecutively. We haven't had that happen in a while. We've had cars crash. What you don't want to happen, though, is you don't want your car to crash and stay on the track. We've had that happen. If your car crashes and stays on the track and the other car crosses the finish line, your car just lost. Your car has to leave the track in order for there to be a restart of the race. So if a car is crashing, it needs to crash for real. Leave the track. Don't crash and just go upside down and stay on the track. That's not going to help you. The races are best 2 out of 3. And we have let's see, just getting all these cars collected up. We have a launcher that shoots the cars out with a lot of force, and I designed the launcher because that's exactly what I wanted to happen. The cars come out with a lot of force, and in order to achieve that, I use these. They're these half-inch bands, these half-inch elastic bands, and once they start to get a little loose, then I swap them out, because the newer bands are tighter and stronger, and it takes more force to expand them out, and that means they have more potential elastic energy. They have more potential energy, and then that way when they're let go and they snap back together, the cars are shot out with even more force. So I switched out the band that we've been using for the last 2 weeks with a brand new band, so we should see higher speeds, and sometimes more force and higher speeds end up with more crashes. So it's going to be important that the cars get a good launch, especially now that we have a few lighter cars in there, and also that F-Racer, because it's narrow cars anything can happen. So we are going to find out right now. I have the cars all set aside. I have the track set up, and so now it is time to go to the racetrack, and I will see you over there in 30 seconds. Okay, we are just about ready to go. I just have to double check the audio. And 1 2 1 2. Yep, we are good to go on the audio. The track is set up. We are looking at an interesting lineup of cars and 2 buses, a micro bus, and an actual bus. We've got the Captain Marvel, the super heavyweight car. We've got the Rollin Solo. We are going to get started. Let's go with the super heavies. So we're going with the Captain Marvel car versus the ID Buzz. Now let me check the ID Buzz. The ID Buzz is going to need the taller acrylic cover. So how that may or may not affect Captain Marvel, I do not know. We'll find out. But let me grab that here and get this launcher set up. We're going to have some fast races today, guaranteed, because this band is tight and it is ready to go. So Captain Marvel is lining up in lane 1. And one thing I will say, again, the Captain Marvel car is wide. It's got a lot of surface area pressed up against the launching block, and that's good. So the Captain Marvel car should not really wiggle or wobble down the track at all. I expect it to be straight. The real question is how that weight will impact it compared to some of the other cars that it'll face. And also, you know, I wonder about those smaller wheels at the front. It's not like I'm going to be able to tell, oh, the smaller wheels impacted the performance, but we will see how this race shakes out. We've got the Captain Marvel car in lane 1. We've got the Volkswagen ID Buzz in lane 2. Race 1, here we go. Three, two, one, race. Are you serious? Are you serious? The Volkswagen ID Buzz took that race, as indicated by the solid red light. I was not expecting that. Was not expecting that at all. I don't know if, you know, that weight. So on one hand, I want to say, well, maybe the weight slowed down the Captain Marvel car. But you got to remember that the Volkswagen ID, they weigh about the same. They're within like 2 grams of each other. So that is not what was expected, but it's also why we have to run the races. I think if the Captain Marvel car was lighter, that would not have been a contest. If it had the same shape but was different, if it was the same but different, it would have performed better. But let's see here. We now have Captain Marvel in lane 2. We have the ID Buzz in lane 1. Can Captain Marvel come back and force a third and final race? We're going to find out. So ID Buzz in lane 1, Captain Marvel lane 2, race 2. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Okay, now that's more along the lines of what I was expecting. Captain Marvel came back and destroyed the ID Buzz by multiple car lengths. So that is a little more what we expected. But all that means is that it's now 1-1. And we are going to have the third and final race. And if the ID Buzz can pull it out, then who knows what kind of day we're in for. Because that will be pretty unexpected. Because given the thing, if 2 cars weigh exactly the same, which these more or less do, then you start looking at, okay, what are the other factors? And you're talking about the shape and the aerodynamics and the wheels and the just anything else, the other factors other than the weight. And based on those, typically you would think that the Captain Marvel car would have the advantage. It's wider, it's got a lower, more sleek profile. Why didn't it win? But we're going to find out. So Captain Marvel car is now in lane 1. We have the ID Buzz in lane 2. Race number 3. Whichever car wins moves on. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. Captain Marvel pulled it out, but narrowly. That car definitely started to slow down towards the back end of the track, and I think that's what's going to get it, is it races some of these other cars. The ID Buzz, while it's heavy, it didn't seem to slow down in the same way, and the ID Buzz was catching the Captain Marvel car near the end, but Captain Marvel pulled it out. So Roughshods pick is moving on, and we will now move to see if let's go let's go with trying to think. So that we have that that bus, which needs to race something. So we'll take the bus up against the Lamborghini, which doesn't seem fair. Doesn't seem right, but hey, this is how it is. Sometimes the matchups are not exactly in your favor, but you got to hit the track anyway. So, switch out. Well, actually, let me see, because with the bus, I may need the taller cover. Let's check. The bus. Nope, the bus can use the smaller cover. Perfect. All right. So, get the launcher set up here. This Lamborghini, very light car. And because of the design, it has a very small point of contact at the back of the car with the launching block. So I don't know how much that will come into play, but it's a light car. So I think the bus's best hope is that the Lamborghini crashes a couple of times and just gets disqualified. But we're going to see how this plays out. We've got the Lamborghini in lane 1. We've got the Wheels High Bus in lane 2. So race 1, here we go. Three, two, one, race. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why you have to race the cars, because the Hot Wheels bus took that race. Sort of inexplicably took that race, but it took the race over the Lamborghini. And like we mentioned, there is a point at which a car can be too light. And if a car is too light, it is going to have issues with drag. And that drag will slow the car down. And it's curious to see how these cars are impacted, because you would think that for whatever drag is occurring on the lighter Lamborghini, that would kind of be offset by the drag that's being that is impacting the bus with its squared off rectangular shape. But that was not the case in that first race. We'll see what happens in this second race. The Lamborghini is now in lane 2. The Hot Wheels High bus is in lane 1. So race number 2, Lambo lane 2, Hot Wheels bus lane 1. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. It was a little closer. And the Lamborghini took it. And so lane 2's been pretty hot so far today. We're going to see what happens next, because the Lamborghini is going to need to take the race in order to move on. But this Hot Wheels bus, a sleeper, I guess this would be counted as a sleeper car, because I didn't expect it to be this fast. I expected it to be faster than the ID Buzz, but I didn't expect it to be beating Lamborghinis on our track. So we are going to switch things up here. The Lamborghini is back in lane 1. The Hot Wheels bus is in lane 2. This is race number 3. Whichever car wins this moves on. Here we go. Bus lane 2, Lambo lane 1. Three, two, one, race. The Lamborghini came through. It was behind until about the last third of the track, and then it came through and pulled out the victory. The Lamborghini, what was it? The Sian FKP 37 has taken the race. So it will move on. along with Captain Marvel, which brings us to the Rollin Solo and Never Ending's F Racer car. My pick going into this is this Rollin Solo car. I think it will be, I have, for a few different reasons, I think it will perform very well. But is it going to perform well enough to beat the F Racer? I don't know. We're going to find out. So the F Racer is lined up. It is a narrow car, and I'm not sure how that's going to play out. The Rollin Solo is a small car, and it's a light. So there's always questions about how light cars will perform on the track, and will they bounce around? Will they get good launches? That's always the key. So much of success on our track is determined by how good of a launch a car gets and how quickly it's able to correct itself. Get this bus out of the way. All right, here we go. Race number 1. We've got the F Racer in lane 2. We've got the Rollin Solo in lane 1. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. And the F Racer did not take my advice. As you can see, the car is upside down. I'm sorry, no, it's not upside down. It's backwards. It flew out of the launcher. It proceeded to crash, flipped in the air, landed backwards, finished the race, and then bounced back. But unfortunately, all that time it spent in the air and flipping around, the Rollin Solo car just went down and won the race. And so when I say that the F Racer didn't follow my advice, I just said, if you're going to crash, leave the track. If that car had left the track, we'd be able to start over and throw out the results. But it didn't. And it stayed on the track in kind of spectacular fashion, so I give it high marks for that, but that doesn't mean that it gets to stay in, it doesn't help it in the win column. So, the F Racer, with its fancy stunts, lost that race. The Rollin Solo won. We are now switching lanes. We've got the Rollin Solo in lane number 2. Let me adjust these here. And we will see if the F Racer can stay on the track. It needs to stay on, it has to stay on the track because it has to win this race. It has to win 2 in a row. But I'd like to see how it performs if it can stay on the track. So here we go. F Racer lane 1, we've got the Rollin Solo in lane 2, and yeah, I will be trying to pull a slow-mo clip of that because it was pretty spectacular. It finished the race, and if it hadn't been racing a fast car, maybe it could have overcome that time spent up in the air. But either way, we've got the F Racer in lane 1, Rollin Solo lane 2, race 2. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. F Racer stayed on the track, no issues, no problem, and it took that race. So the F Racer has shown, at least in one race, that if it stays on the track, it can contend with the Rollin Solo. So now we're going to go back to the scene of the crime, and the F Racer is going to go into lane 2, and we're going to see if it can stay on the track and repeat that performance, or will it be the Rollin Solo that moves on with the Lamborghini and the Captain Marvel car. So, see here, we have the Rollin Solo in lane 1. We have the F Racer lined up in lane 2. Okay, once again, we are going to a third and final race. So each of our races so far has come down to the third and final race. This one's no different. We've got the F Racer in lane 2. We've got the Rollin Solo in lane 1. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Rollin Solo takes that. The F Racer stayed on the track, headed down, but did not have enough to beat out the Rollin Solo. And it wedged itself under the block here, the finish line. Let me get that out. And let's get this. Hang on, the finish line. The sensor needs a little bit of adjustment. So let me do that while trying not to upset this cord. Let's see. Let's get it in there. Okay. So the sensors for the finish line are actually underneath the track, and they stick up through the bottom through these little holes, and then connect with the sensor in that larger structure that you see there. And that's how we are able to determine which car has won, which car has lost. So we now have the Rollin Solo. We have the Lamborghini Sian FKP 37, and we have the Captain Marvel car. So we're going to go Lambo versus Captain Marvel and see which car is going to come out on top and move to the finals and move one step closer to challenging the Gazella R and knocking it off its perch as champion. So we've got Captain Marvel in lane 2, and the Lamborghini is in lane number 1. Captain Marvel car getting it lined up here. Doesn't seem to want to stay in position. There we go. All right, Captain Marvel lane 2, Lamborghini Sian FKP 37 in lane 1. Race 1, here we go. Three, two, one, race. Captain Marvel takes it. Captain Marvel one step away from making it to the finals. And who would have thought that after Captain Marvel lost the race to the ID Buzz? I think that was, that first race. But everything has been going right so far. Cars will switch lanes, and we will put the Captain Marvel car in lane 1, and the Lamborghini Sian FKP 37 will be in lane number 2. All right, Captain Marvel, lane 1, Lamborghini, lane 2, race 2, here we go. Three, two, one, race. Lamborghini took it. So the Lamborghini has pushed this to yet another third and decisive race. We are going to, I think all the races today have gone to 3. So we're right in line. This is good. Good quality Hot Wheels racing. Means we got a good mix of cars that are evenly matched. And we will switch them out. And we will put the Lamborghini in lane number 1. We will put Captain Marvel in lane 2. And this is race number 3. The Lamborghini doesn't want to stay in place, so let me make an adjustment. And looks good. All right, Captain Marvel in lane 2, Lamborghini in lane 1. We are ready to go. This is race number 3. Whichever car takes this will match up with the Rollin Solo in the finals. So here we go. Lamborghini lane 1, Captain Marvel lane 2. Three, two, one, race. Oh, it was so close, so close. And then the Lamborghini pulled it out at the last possible section of the track. And the Lamborghini will be moving on to take on the Rollin Solo. And one thing I didn't mention was that the weight differential. So we had the. Oh, let me adjust the sensor again. We had the. There we go. We had the Captain Marvel car, which was our heaviest car, and then we had the Lamborghini, which was, if not our lightest car, it was just about the lightest car. And the race was close and competitive. And I think part of that has to do with the drag's impact on the lighter car, the Lamborghini, and then the weight of the Captain Marvel car. But I think the Captain Marvel car benefits because it's wider and its shape, the aerodynamics of it. But if it were lighter, if it were somehow, if it were just in the 30s, you can't be 43 grams and expect to do extremely well on the track. But it did well. It did well, and I think if it had been a lighter car with that exact same design, I think it would be one of the top cars in the fleet, definitely. But we are here. We are looking at the Lamborghini Sian FKP 37 in lane 2. We are checking out the Rollin Solo, which was my pick to win today's tournament. That's in lane 1. So Rollin Solo lane 1, Lamborghini in lane 2. This is race number 1. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. Ooh. Those cars were moving, and the Rollin Solo took it. From my perspective, down at the start line, that race was extremely close, and I had to take a look at the sensors and the flashing lights on the finish line in order to determine which car won, but it was the Rollin Solo. Can the Rollin Solo take 2 races in a row from the Lambo? So far, all of our races have gone to 3. We've had to have 3 different races to determine a winner, but now the Lamborghini is going to need to win 2 in a row, or the Rollin Solo is moving on to take on the Gazella. So we have 2 cars here ready to go. Lamborghini lane 1, Rollin Solo lane 2. Race number 2, here we go. Three, 2, 1, race. Rollin Solo took it by a wide margin, and I'm going to go ahead and say the Gazella's in trouble. This dream rematch there's trouble. there's trouble. It may not happen. Rollin Solo may have just stepped up and decided, you know what, it's time for a new champion. 15 weeks is too long, and I've had enough. So the Rollin Solo is going to take on the Gazella for the fastest in fleet title. The Gazella has been dominant, extremely dominant, but the Rollin Solo, this car is fast. This car is fast, and there's no two ways about it. The Gazella is lining up in lane number 1. Rollin Solo, looking to pull the upset, is going to be in lane number 2. We are ready to go. This is the matchup. The Gazella R, champion for 15 weeks, against the Rollin Solo, which is a really fast car. Really fast car. And we're going to see how this plays out. Gazella R is in lane 1. The Rollin Solo is in lane 2. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. The Gazella said, "What are you doing hyping up my competitors? What do you think this is? Have you not been paying attention the last 15 weeks?" And the Gazella took that race. That was not close. I didn't need to look down at the finish line sensor, anything like that. That was a race in which the Gazella just took it. So the Gazella is now 1 win away. But we have seen strange things before. We just saw a strange thing earlier with a car flying into the air, landing backwards, crossing the finish line, and that's odd. So we've got the Rollin Solo lined up in lane 1. We have the Gazella R in lane number 2. The Gazella is 1 win away from making it 16. So the Rollin Solo has its work cut out. Rollin Solo's in lane 1. Gazella R in lane 2. Race number 2. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Once again, as it comes all the way back to the starting block, slams into the launcher, the Gazella emphatically takes that race. All the races today have been best. We've had to go to the third and final race. Not so much. So I'm going to gather up these cars. We're going to head back in the garage, and we are going to take a look at some of the winners, some of the losers, and some of the results that we saw today. So I'll be back in the garage in a few seconds. So at this point, I should not continue to be surprised by the Gazella, but the Rollin Solo was fast. Like there's no question that second race with the Lamborghini, the Rollin Solo was fast. It's like sometimes I can just watch the cars go down the track, and I don't know. I know because it's that 3-camera view, sometimes it may be a little more difficult to kind of see the overall kind of flow of the race. But when I'm watching it here, I can see when cars are fast. That Lamborghini, the Rollin Solo were fast. Like, there's no two ways about it. And so I really legitimately thought, whoa, okay, I'm seeing some speed there. This car is going to handle. I thought it would at least take one race from the Gazella. And silly me, because that is not the case. The Gazella is just insanely fast. This is the fastest Hot Wheels car on the planet, and it's marching right straight to the rematch with the Blitz Speeder. And if the Blitz Speeder, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, because next week is it. Well, really, 2 weeks. So next week we're going to have the same tournament, and more cars are going to be introduced, and we'll see what the Gazella does. If the Gazella wins next week, then we're looking at the Blitz Speeder showdown, presuming the Blitz Speeder. Well, no, the Blitz Speeder isn't going to have to win its way in. The Blitz Speeder has got to buy right to that level. So we'll have the tournament, and then whatever car wins that tournament will take on the Blitz Speeder, because the Blitz Speeder will need a warm-up race. And then after that, presuming the Blitz Speeder beats whatever car wins that tournament, it's going to take on the Gazella. And we are going to see, because if it beats the Gazella, I don't know. All bets are off. We might have to have, I would say, have like Jeopardy has a tournament of champions, and go back and get the Draftnator, the Track Tune, that Mazda, the Mach Speeder, whatever. But the problem is, all those former champions, if they were faster than the Gazella, they would be here. If they were faster than the Draftnator, they would be here. If they were faster than the Blitz Speeder, they would be here. But they're not. The Gazella's here, and the Gazella is clearly here to stay. This is insane how fast this car is. And maybe it's just the right car, the right track. I would like to see. I have one of those 6-lane gravity tracks, but I don't. I'm kind of pressed for space, and I don't have room to really extend it out to see what the Gazella would do on that. I think maybe Never Ending on his channel, I think he's raced a Gazella. If I'm not mistaken, you can let me know. But I think it's a difference. Like, cars perform differently in different environments. So the Gazella might not be this dominant on a gravity track, but on our track, where the force, the velocity, the speed is increased to such an extreme degree, flat drag track, the Gazella is just out of this world. So, and the Rollin Solo had a solid performance, and I think against any car other than the Gazella, the Rollin Solo would be that car. But it weighs in at 28.3 grams. And Roughshod was saying it started slowing down near the end, and that is something that we do see happening with lighter cars, is that drag starts to have that impact on them to slow them down. With the heavier cars, it's not so much. I mean, there is drag, but drag isn't the overriding force that's impacting them. There is the drag, but then gravity. And you've got this heavy car, you've got gravity. Basically, gravity, friction, and drag are the three forces that are working against these cars as they're moving down the track. And with the smaller cars, they start to slow down. With the heavier cars, they start to slow down. Cars in that sweet spot, all the cars are slowing down, but the slowdown isn't as dramatic and noticeable as it is with cars on those two extreme ends, either too light or too heavy. That Lamborghini was 27 grams, and it was moving, which probably it accounts for why the Lamborghini and the Rollin Solo had such a fast, close, competitive race, because they're about the same weight. They're in that same group. But when you move up and talk about the Gazella at 32, it's like 32.3 grams. Now you're adding a little bit more weight. You're adding, so if the Rollin Solo, what did I say it was, 28 grams? you're adding 4 more grams of weight to the Gazella. And is that enough to make the difference at the end of the race when when drag is starting to really come into play to slow these cars down? Does that extra 4 grams give it enough momentum to keep pushing ahead and not be as impacted as noticeably by drag as the lighter car? That's my kind of working theory on this, and it seems to show up in the results that we get on the track. But the Gazella is just waiting, because that race wasn't even close with the Rollin Solo. Was not close. I mean, it wasn't an obliteration, but it wasn't close. Wasn't close at all. So we are talking about the Blitz Speeder as our fastest in-fleet champion. And yeah, Never Ending says the Gazella needs to go down. I would have thought so. And now, at this point, like I said, I picked the Rollin Solo because I thought the Rollin Solo could beat it. I really did. But, so on one hand, I'm picking cars trying to beat the Gazella. On the other hand, I want to see the matchup with the Blitz Speeder. So once we're this close, I want to see that matchup happen. So now I'm Team Gazella, and I'm hoping that it can win next week and get to that 17th week with the showdown. Once the showdown happens, I'm back to being neutral. But for right now, for these next 2 weeks, I'm all about wanting to see that Gazella make it. But, of course, you have the opportunity to throw off all those plans. All you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live, select the Choose a Car option. You will be taken to this page. On this page, you will be able to scroll through and look at all of the cars that are currently in the All About Aerodynamics at the Track Live fleet. There are 827 cars to choose from. 827 different cars. And the Gazella seems to say, you know what? Bring them all on. And might have to just a marathon of the Gazella just destroying car after car after car. But there may be a car in here. I don't know what car it is. I don't know which car that could be. But it is possible that there's a car in here that could beat it. Roughshod already readying his pick for next week, going with 216. Let's take a look and get a little preview. See which one that is. 216. The Scupa de Fuego. Okay. And this is a car that it definitely has, so it looks, I'm gonna say, it looks like plastic body on a metal base. And it's got those same sleek lines like we've seen with the Blitz Speeder and some others. Now, my first big concern are those vents, those openings just above and in front of the rear wheel up on the top. Will those trap air in? I don't know if it's open on the back side, which we can't tell from this picture. If it's open on the backside, then the air should just flow straight through. If it is closed, then those will act kind of like little mini parachutes almost and trap the air in and possibly slow this car down. But we'll have to find out if there's an opening in the back behind those. But and it's just a little thing. But as we see with these races, how close some of them are, that sometimes the little things can make a difference. And it's hard with Hot Wheels cars and with the basically what we have available to kind of measure. A lot of it's just observation. But this is a car that I think I'm going to mark down. And Wind Tunnel Wednesday, let me write it down. Car 216. I'm going to pull this on Wind Tunnel Wednesday. If you join us right here, it'll be on YouTube and Instagram Live. And this is one of the cards that I'm going to pull. We will put in the it in the wind tunnel, and we should be able to determine and see what happens with that air as it flows over the top of the car. Where does it go? Does it go into this little area above the back, above the rear wheels, or does it flow right through? We should be able to get an idea. And with the Wind Tunnel Wednesday, we put the cars in and start to look at how the air moves around different cars. And so we take some of the cars, we'll probably take like the Rollin Solo, some of the cars that we've seen perform, then put them in the wind tunnel, see what we see, and eventually we should be able to start matching up what we're seeing, how the air is flowing over, under, and around those cars, and compare that to the speed. So we know how the air flows over the Gazella. And I'll be curious to see how the air flows over some of these other cars, and what happens with the Scuba de Fuego. So that will be next Saturday. So there is a lot going on as we build towards March 29th and the showdown with the Blitz Speeder. Again, if you would like more information on all about aerodynamics, or if you just want to keep up with what's happening with AtTheTrack.live and the upcoming races, or Wind Tunnel Wednesday, then all of that information can be found right there. AA Aerodynamics on Instagram, or on our website, aaAerodynamics.com. And that is where you can get all the information you need. If you want to go back and see the history of the Gazella, how we got here, if you want to see the Blitz Speeder, if you want to see cars that were in past champions, you can go to our YouTube channel and click the live tab. All of the episodes of At The Track Live are listed on those older episodes. They all have time codes, so if you just want to see a certain car review, or you just want to skip to the races, or whatever you want to do, there's a time code in there. And I will add a time code for this episode. I will be going back to take a look at what exactly happened with the F Racer and that flip. It was pretty wild because it flipped up in the air pretty high, landed on the track backwards, finished the race, and then rebounded and came about halfway back up the track. So it was a pretty spectacular stunt, even if it didn't help it win the race, which it did not. But yeah, there's a lot to look at. So if you want to see that again, basically right after we end this episode, that information, the video is on YouTube, and within a few hours I'll have the codes, the time codes listed in. So if you want to wait so that you can skip right to the part that you want to see, then yeah, just give it a couple of hours. But other than that, good races today, and I expect good races next week. So join us. Wind Tunnel Wednesday is 4 p.m. Pacific on Instagram and YouTube. And we will be back here next Saturday at the Track Live. We are week 16. One more week for the Gazella to win before the big matchup. And if you think that you can pick a car, just go to At The Track Live. If you're at work, if you're bored on the computer, you're standing in line somewhere, At The Track Live, AtTheTrack.live, choose a car, scroll through, find the car. You've seen the Gazella. You've seen the cars that it's raced. You've seen how it's performed. You know what to look for. If you've been watching these episodes, you know the kinds of things to look for. The type of car that tends to do well on the track. You've seen what the Gazella can do. Now the question is, can you pick a car that is equal to the Gazella? It's going to be hard, but I don't think it's impossible. There are 827 cars to choose from. Make your pick. Take the number, drop it in the chat. I'll pull the car, we'll race the cars, and we'll see what happens. You have one more week to disrupt the championship trajectory that the Gazella is on. Well, the rematch. So, it's up to you, and I'll pull some cars from storage. So between you and I, we may be able to come up with a car to defeat the Gazella before it meets the Blitz Speeder in the rematch, even though I really don't want that to happen. But it might happen. It could happen. So until next week, I appreciate everybody watching, and we're on the road to March 29th. So until next week, I am Coach James for All About Aerodynamics, Wind Tunnel Wednesday, and At the Track Live, and I will see you at the races.